Albert Einstein said he got his best ideas while playing the violin. Newton discovered gravity while relaxing under a tree and reading a book. Mozart, the musical genius, said he would compose masterpieces in his mind while taking long walks in the forest and amid nature. Think of this for a second. The people we called as geniuses never forced their brain. They weren't trying harder at all. On the other hand, you are not able to focus. You are trying to concentrate. You are trying to get your work done. Here's the truth. Everybody is born with genius potential. However, nobody taught you how to use your brain and how to access this limitless potential. The few who did created masterpieces, created inventions, and made discoveries throughout history and in present day. Genius is not a person, it is a brain state, and this state is called the flow state. In this video, I'll show you how you too can enter this flow state and unlock the limitless potential of your genius mind. Hi, I'm Dr. Kokila, and in this video, I'm going to share with you the 4 most powerful techniques to unlock your brain's highest potential and peak performance state. So first, what is peak performance? Peak performance is a mental state where your brain operates under heightened focus, memory, creativity, and decision making, all without stress or distraction. You may experience your mind becoming calm yet highly alert. You're focused without forcing. You're productive without stress. And you enter a zone. You may experience minimal inner resistance, a state of calm alertness, laser-like focus, time dilution, which means you lose track of time because you're so highly immersed in a task, and eventually a high performance flow state where everything feels smooth, fast, and effortless. And this is the zone where your brain performs at its best. Now, we will start with the mind. Your mind can be compared to an iceberg. The superficial part can be seen with the eye, but the majority of the iceberg is submerged. So, the mind can be divided into a conscious mind, a subconscious mind, and an unconscious mind. While conscious, the mind is able to think and analyze. When the mind is not completely conscious, what we call as subconscious, is the seat of all your habits, memories, and emotions. The unconscious mind is the state where you're in deep sleep. However, know that deep reprogramming of the mind can happen in this state. Most people try to succeed only using the conscious mind. That's why it feels tiring and exhausting. However, real transformation happens when you engage all parts of the mind. Now, what causes this distinction of the conscious mind, subconscious mind, and the unconscious mind? It's purely the electrical activity of the mind. In the conscious state of mind, the electrical activity of the brain is at its highest. When conscious, there are 2 brain wave states. The highest is known as gamma, where the electrical activity of the brain is above 30 Hertz. And this is the brainwave state where you can experience the peak of cognition, awareness, and memory. And you can see it's a state in which the electrical activity of the brain is at its highest. The second brainwave state, when the mind is conscious, it's known as beta. This state is where we spend majority of the time. In the beta state, the electrical activity of the mind is slightly slower than the gamma state at a frequency of 13 to 30 Hertz. This is where you're able to focus, you're able to do cognitive thinking and problem solving. So you can say that thoughts are the key to the beta state. The more the thoughts, the higher the brain waves. Now this state of high beta is known as stress. So stress is directly proportional to your thoughts. Now, when you're able to reduce your thoughts, your mind comes into a state of subconsciousness, which means you're not completely conscious. This state is known as alpha, and you can see that the electrical activity reduces from 13 to 30 Hertz to 8 to 13 Hertz. the electrical activity of the brain waves is much slower. And this is the state where you have relaxed focus. The stress is completely reduced and you can learn anything fast. This is the state where Albert Einstein, Mozart, Newton, and so many geniuses would operate. They would spend more and more time in the alpha state, whereas the normal human only enters this state while going to sleep. The second brain wave state of the subconscious mind is known as the theta state. Here the electrical activity is much slower at 4 to 8 hertz. This state is also known as the REM sleep because even during sleep you come into a type of sleep which is superficial, and you call this as rapid eye movement sleep. It is a state when you feel very drowsy, you're not completely alert and you're not completely in deep sleep. In this state, you can have the highest creativity, visualization, relaxation, and this is a deep meditative state which can also reach during meditation. Now coming to the third part of the mind, which is the unconscious mind. As the name suggests, the body is unconscious and therefore during deep sleep, the electrical activity of the brain is the lowest at 0.1 to 4 hertz. Even in the state of delta, healing can happen, and this is the reason you need a very good sleep to rejuvenate the day's stress, to let go of the tension, and without the deep sleep you will wake up not feeling fresh. Therefore, deep sleep is one of the prerequisites for peak performance mind. In this video, I'll show you the 4 powerful principles that will change how you learn, how you focus, and how you perform. These are the 4 principles of a peak performance brain. They are not based on motivation, they are based on how your brain naturally functions. By understanding the natural flow and the natural rhythm of your mind, you will be able to tap into your brain's peak performance state. First, we'll see how to enter the flow state on demand, the state where the top 1% operate. Now, this state isn't rare or it isn't gifted. You can train yourself to enter the state on demand. So, the flow state is not a gift. It is a repeatable, trainable, neurological state. To help you understand the flow state, let's take the example, one of the world's most watched sport, which is cricket. Now we have a batsman, Virat Kohli, who is batting at the crease, and there are 2 scenarios here. In one, he might be thinking in his mind, how fast is the ball? Should I hit a straight drive, cover drive, a 4 or a 6? And there's another situation where his mind is completely blank, and I want you to think in which of these mind states would he be able to perform his best. If your answer is A, you're absolutely right, because in B his mind is thinking, and during this state his peak performance brain shuts down, because stress and peak performance are like an on-off switch. When the mind is stressed, the peak performance mind is turned off. In the beta state, there are a lot of thoughts in the mind which lead to distraction and eventually stress. However, in the alpha state, there are no thoughts. The mind is completely blank, therefore it is able to hyper-focus. And in this state of hyper-focus, the brain enters the state of flow. And I'm sure you've experienced flow before as well. There are moments when you're completely absorbed, no distractions and no effort. This happens multiple times a day, but you haven't been taught or trained how to use it for higher work efficiency. And this is the state where peak performance happens naturally. Most people live in the beta state, full of thoughts, distractions, and stress. Stress is not always caused by situations. It is caused by the number and nature of thoughts you generate. When your mind is overloaded with thoughts, analysis, worry, self-doubt, your brain stays in a highly alert beta state. But when you learn to slow down the thoughts, something powerful happens. Your nervous system shifts into a calm mode. So fewer thoughts cause less internal noise and more clarity, focus, and control. This is where flow state begins. It's the same brain but a different brainwave state and different results. Now, geniuses just operated at the alpha state. They would spend their waking moments in the alpha state, while average humans just spend a few minutes, that too during sleep. So genius is not a person, it is a brainwave state. And as I said in the beginning, Albert Einstein said he got his best ideas while playing the violin, which is a deep, relaxed alpha-inducing activity. Newton discovered gravity not while working, but while resting under a tree, when the mind is in the alpha or theta state. Mozart composed masterpieces during walks when his mind was calm. Next, I'll share with you the mind programming framework, which is in fact used by athletes, actors, and memory champions. So many successful people use this technique to mentally rehearse success even before it happens. And we'll see the neuroscience behind this and how you can start using this technique as fast as today. Here we'll discuss something about the brain and visualization. The brain activates the same neural pathways when you visualize an action just as when you do that action, which means your mind doesn't fully differentiate between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you repeatedly run an action in your mind, your brain is already practicing it at a neurological level. Seeing or imagining something repeatedly strengthens neural circuits to create that reality, and this is called neuroplasticity. The more you mentally rehearse something, the stronger and faster those pathways become, making real-life execution smooth and more automatic. Olympian Michael Phelps didn't just train his body, he visualized his success, every stroke, every turn, the feeling of the water, the sound of the splash, and even the scorecard showing he's the winner. Every night before sleep, he played a mental movie of himself, diving with every stroke, turn, water splashing, and even the scorecard showing world record and him on the podium. Now you can use this very same technique, the mental movie, to visualize your success and create it into reality. A mental movie is the most powerful form of visualization because it engages your brain like a real life experience, not just a thought. Instead of static images, you create a dynamic first-person movie where you are the main character, seeing through your eyes, taking action, and achieving the result you desire. Now, the mental movie combines visions, emotions, movement, and sensory detail. This activates multiple areas of your brain simultaneously, making the programming much deeper and stronger. When repeated consistently, your brain activates multiple regions and your brain is literally simulating that experience. So as you relax and immerse yourself deeply into this mental movie, your brain shifts from the fast beta state to the theta state. Theta is the brain state of powerful visualization. This is also the state where neuroplasticity is at its highest. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change. That's why top performers don't just think about success. They experience it in advance through powerful visualization. Now coming to the third technique. Your brain has a secret window, a manifestation window, where the life you want can be created, where you can develop lasting subconscious change, where you can imprint new reality patterns and transform your life at the root level. And that window is the time just before sleep, as your mind is calming down into the theta and delta brainwave state. In this state, your mind is relaxed, your critical mind is bypassed, and your subconscious is open. Now, there's a powerful story from the Mahabharata. Abhimanyu learned the art of entering the Chakravyuha, a military formation, while he was still in his mother's womb. This was when his uncle was narrating the art of breaking into the Chakravyuha to his mother. How was this even possible? Because in the womb, the brain actually operates in the delta brainwave state, and the developing baby is unconscious, and therefore the brain waves operate in delta. In delta state, there is no analytical thinking, and the brain simply absorbs information directly into the subconscious. This is why unborn babies can pick up emotions, sounds, and even patterns from the mother's environment. And what's fascinating is ancient sages understood this thousands of years ago. Today, neuroscience confirms the same. Delta is a state of deep learning, imprinting, and subconscious programming, which means if you can consciously access even a fraction of this state, you can begin to program your life at the deepest level. Now, the most interesting technique of how you can rewire your brain while you sleep without effort, and this is known as sleep talk or hypnopedia. Now, this is based on neuroplasticity, which is your brain's incredible ability to form new neural connections and rewire itself based on experience and repetition. One of the most powerful times this happens is during sleep. When you are drifting into sleep, your brain shifts into theta and then the delta brainwave state. In this state, whatever suggestion you give to the brain, the subconscious accepts without resistance. There is no overthinking, no questioning, no judgment, only acceptance. That means whatever input you give to your brain during sleep, it starts strengthening into new neural circuits. So instead of fighting your mind during the day, it's easier to program it during sleep, when the mind is most open, receptive, and ready to change. Most of us think negative thoughts just before sleep, and therefore manifest the same negative actions, negative behaviors, and a negative experience in life. Now you can do the opposite. When you expose your mind to positive suggestions before sleep, so much is going to change in your life, because during sleep, your brain accepts information without judgment, and sleep makes it the perfect time to reprogram your thinking and your life. You can simply repeat statements or record an audio of the statement and listen before sleep. Now, how to create the perfect affirmation before sleep to program into your subconscious mind? The best affirmation is I am, and state what you want to do in the present tense and how. For example, I am studying easily. I am writing my exam effortlessly. I am practicing as a doctor or a lawyer. How? With honesty. When you listen to these statements repeatedly and consistently, you begin to reshape your subconscious patterns, and over time, your behavior follows. Now, coming to the fourth and most powerful method, which is meditation. In this section, rather than answer the question, why do meditation? I would like to help you understand what meditation can do for you. Meditation is not just a calming ritual. It can deeply reprogram your mind. It is the most powerful brain optimization tool, and we'll see how. This is a radiograph of a lung, and this is a tree with its branches which look very similar. This is the human eye, and this is the helix nebula, again looking very similar. This is a tree stump, and this is the human fingerprint. These are the veins of a leaf aligned perfectly with the creases of the hand. This is the human DNA in a helical structure, and this is the double helix nebula. These are the neurons of the brain, and this is the universe. And why is the human mind or the human body and the universe so similar in structure? Because they are part of the same cosmos or nature. Ancient sages didn't just think or talk about life, they explored life through deep meditation. And what they realized was very powerful, that you and the universe are not separate. You are part of the same cosmic intelligence. Through meditation, they experienced 3 levels of connection. Connection to your own heart, the feeling love, gratitude, and calm, which brings inner peace. Connection to Mother Earth, the feeling of being grounded, stable, and safe in your body. And the third, connection to the cosmic energy, something even bigger, where your awareness expands and you feel more creative and intuitive. Now, science is starting to explain this. During deep meditation, your brain doesn't just relax, it produces powerful gamma frequencies, and you enter the gamma brainwave states, which is the genius brain state, the fastest brain wave linked to peak of focus, creativity, intuition, and higher thinking. Gamma waves help you think clearly, learn faster, connect ideas better, feel more aware and present. In experienced meditators, these gamma waves increase, meaning the brain is working in a highly connected and a powerful way. This is a state where you feel calm and also very alert. And this is what the Sanskrit saying Aham Brahmasmi translates to, that I am the universe. Stress is only a state of being disconnected with the powerful energy of the universe. So meditation is not just a spiritual idea. It is an experience where you feel deeply connected with yourself and the power around you. And your brain works best in this state. So peak performance is not something you chase, it is something you allow. So to summarize, we discussed 4 powerful techniques of peak brain performance. The first is the state of flow, which you can achieve when you're in a state of no thoughts and you can hyper focus. Second was the mental movie. Third is the sleep talk. And fourth is meditation. Thank you, and I hope you use these techniques to achieve your peak brain performance state. It doesn't matter which field you're in, sports, arts, music, academics. You can use all these 4 techniques to achieve your highest potential.